he said that Russia would be ready to hand over cyber criminals to the United States if the U.S. would do the same to Russia. So are you open to that kind of a trade with Vladimir Putin?
Yes, I'm open to, if there's crimes committed against Russia, I'm committed to holding them accountable.
The idea that responsible countries should be held accountable to not harboring cyber criminals and to bringing cyber criminals to justice. He's prepared to do that in the United States. He'd like to see Vladimir Putin do that. This is not about exchanges or swaps or anything like that.
We've got the National Security Advisor having to do a little cleanup after something the president was talking about yesterday. Let's bring in Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, joining us from Ohio, and Florida GOP Congresswoman Kat Cammack. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Kat, let's start with you. So, it was pretty clear. President Biden sounded like he was open to exchanging cyber criminals, because we know that the bad guys, apparently, who are screwing up and doing the ransomware things are from Russia. So you can understand what he was talking about. But then you got Jake Sullivan saying later, no, there's not going to be any swaps or any exchanges. What's going on?
You know, this is absolutely nuts. We went from an America First president to an America Last. And when we talk about cybersecurity, one of the top issues that we face as a country, one of our top concerns, and certainly one of my top priorities as a member of the Homeland Security Committee, we are talking about economic security, we're talking about national security, and the suggestion that our America Last president is now saying to Putin that, yeah, we'll do a swap of cyber criminals. Give me a break. This is insane. We need to have deterrent strategies. We need to have consequences for the attacks that we have seen here as of late. We saw the Colonial Pipeline attack. We saw the JBS attack.
Sure.
These are national security spheres, such as energy and food security. And our president here is now telling us that they're going to engage in quote unquote swaps. That's insane. And we know that the dark side gang is operating with the blessing of the Russian government. They are state sponsored. So in what world are we living in when we are now engaging in swaps of cyber criminals? This is nuts.
So Jim Jordan, it is presumed the president's going to talk to Vladimir Putin on Wednesday about these cyber criminals who are, taking the big meat company hostage with the ransomware and with the Colonial Oil and stuff like that. It's interesting. An interview Vladimir Putin did in 2016, he was asked why Russia was not arresting hackers who were believed to have influenced America's elections. He said, if they did not break Russian law, there is nothing to prosecute them for in Russia. So you got to figure he's going to say that to Joe Biden on Wednesday. They didn't break any laws in Russia, and so we're not going to go in and swoop down and pick them up. Too bad, Joe Biden.
Yeah, I think the big concern here, Steve, is broader. I think it's the weakness being projected from the Oval Office, as Kat got into. I mean, just go back 2 months ago when our Secretary of State, Secretary Blinken, was in Alaska meeting with his Chinese counterpart. And if you watch that video, the treatment he received, our country received from the Chinese, that should never happen. And frankly, I don't think it would ever happen with Mike Pompeo in a Trump administration. I don't think you'd see that from the Chinese. So that's my bigger concern here, is you have to project strength. You have to be willing to take tough stands and defend those stands and support those stands like President Trump did. And we're just not seeing it. So we're not seeing it from the Biden administration. I don't think this will be the first time they have to walk something back. It's unfortunate, but that is the bigger concern I think all Americans now see from the Biden administration foreign policy.
Sure. Kat, you and Jim have teamed up with the Young America's Foundation, and it's an emphasis on America's college campuses, because you're very concerned about what's happening at America's colleges and universities.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim and I have teamed up along with Young Americans for Freedom to form the Campus Free Speech Caucus. Because let's be honest, our college campuses these days, these aren't higher education institutions, these are indoctrination camps. And as the youngest Republican woman in Congress today, it wasn't too long ago that I found myself as an undergraduate student being attacked by my Latin American politics professor telling me that all white Republican men are the source of world conflict. So I myself have experienced the harassment, the vitriol from the liberal left on college campuses, and now we have students across the country that are being attacked, they are being vilified. It is absolutely ludicrous that we as taxpayers fund this type of behavior. So Jim and I, along with the Young Americans for Freedom Foundation, we are going to be holding these institutions accountable and giving these conservative students an outlet where they can bring their stories to us and we can educate our colleagues on the dangers of the indoctrination that is happening on our college campuses.
You know, and Jim, we've been talking for years about what's going on college campuses, but now it seems to be happening at the high school level and middle school and grade school with this critical race theory that is being pushed.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere, Steve. Think about, just in a general sense, your First Amendment liberties over the last several years. Every single right we have under the First Amendment has been assaulted. Your right to practice your faith, your right to assemble, your right to petition your government, freedom of press, freedom of speech. Every one. There are still places today in America where a full congregation can't meet on Sunday morning. Yeah. 4 weeks ago, Steve, I spoke to the New Mexico Republican Party in Amarillo, Texas, because they couldn't assemble in their own state. Their governor wouldn't let them. They had to come to Texas to find freedom. And you can just go down. As we speak now, you can't go to your United States Capitol to petition your member of Congress to redress your grievances because Nancy Pelosi won't let you in. So every right we have, and it's most drastic on college campuses, as Kat points out. And that's why we're forming this caucus, to push back and stand up for the Bill of Rights, for the Constitution, and most importantly, for your free speech rights under the First Amendment.
All right. Well, we thank you both for joining us and telling us about that, the news of the day as well. Jim, Kat, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good one.
Thank you, Steve.